G'day guys, Clint here, recording episode number 72 of The Full Landscape with Alex Martini. Alex has been a friend of mine for nearly 4 years now. He's a waterproofer and he's now working for Mapei as a sales consultant. I wanted to do this podcast with Alex just to give everyone an opportunity to learn more about him personally, but also to probably expose some of the things that are happening or that aren't happening in waterproofing that may be beneficial if you're in the landscaping industry, tiling industry, or the construction industry. Alex and I do swear a little bit in this podcast, so if you are a little bit sensitive to bad language, maybe jump over to the next podcast. But if you can see past the swearing, I think you're really going to enjoy this one. So yeah, I'll leave it with you. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Obviously, you know, I know you as Alex Martini, who sold me waterproofing, but you had a life before that as a waterproofer.
Yeah.
What was life before that? Was it early childhood into, you know, high school and then straight into waterproofing, or
No.
how did it all? Give us your origin story.
Oh man, I've done so many things.
Yep.
So many things. Probably my last job before I got into waterproofing was I used to run a nightclub.
You used to run a nightclub?
Yeah, I'm not going to say what one, but I used to run a nightclub. That was my job.
Okay.
Right?
And what does that mean?
I was
Like,
a
as
promoter.
in, yeah. So you were the one that brought the people in. You weren't physically managing.
Put
the club.
parties on.
Yep.
All that stuff. Liquor licensing, managing all that. Police come, fights.
Yep.
Just managing all that. You know, that was my job. I enjoyed it. It's good. I was out anyway all the time.
Yep.
So I just thought, this is cool. I'm out.
Yep.
You know, making money too.
Don't have to line up.
That's right. Straight in.
Good
So
club.
yeah, that was my life. Yeah, but, you know, things got tough out there in Adelaide back in those days as well. So I remember seeing. I never forget it. I was at the beach at Zoots. Remember Zoots back then, Henley Square.
I didn't go out, man.
Didn't you?
I've been working since I was 12.
Fuck. Jesus. All right. Well, I was there, right? And I was.
How old are you?
43.
Yeah, so you're only 3 years older than me, so I should know this place, but
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, Zoots was a place at Henley Square.
But
Anyway,
you're from that side of the city as well.
I originally was. Yeah.
So
Western
we used to go to the
suburbs.
Highlander or the Teacher Gully
Okay,
pub.
so that's that way. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. See, that's Henley Beach was my kind of local.
Yep.
And then Johnny from Trimtech Waterproofing came past, and he was like, "What's fucking going on, man?" And I've known him since I was a kid. He used to work for my old man, right? My old man used to have servos years ago when I was really young. And he goes, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" He goes, "You know, fucking you out there fucking doing this." He goes, "You can't do that forever." He goes, "Come waterproofing." And I was like, "What's the money situation in waterproofing?" And he's like, $150 a day. Right? I said, "Fuck no." I said, "I'm not fucking doing that."
Because
Right?
you were making money.
Back then, man, I was 10% on the bar. 3 tills. You know, you turning some nights $2.5 grand.
Yep.
Right? So I wasn't interested.
So you're making you were making $250 a day having
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And you probably weren't paying for your drinks on the night.
No, 100% I wasn't. and I said, no way, not going to happen. Anyway, a lot of things changed over months down the track. A lot of things changed out there in Adelaide, and yeah, more pressures and challenges. So I ended up just saying, fuck this, too hard, right? And I started like looking into waterproofing, right? I was like, well, fucking the offer's there, let's have a look. And anyway, rang him up and said, look, can I come with you, sort it out? And he goes, no worries. He goes, I knew you'd call me. Oh, no worries, right? Johnny from Trimtech Water, very patient guy, right? Very patient. Taught me how to waterproof. Taught me everything, you know. It's good fun, right? Working with him, and but he had a niche market, which was residential, right? Residential, remedial, right? Which was fixing balconies, fixing all that stuff, little rooftops, blah blah blah, right? So as I started working with him, he was teaching me different systems and time went on. And I thought, all right, I'm going to start my own business.
So how old were you when you started working for him? In your early 20s?
Yeah, 25.
Okay, so mid-20s. And then did you have to do an apprenticeship?
Nah,
You
there
just
is no
started
apprenticeship for waterproofing.
Yep,
It's
so
an accreditation,
Yep,
basically.
okay. So you did some time with him
Yeah.
a couple of years? Or?
2 years before I started.
Yeah,
my
okay. So you
business.
kind of paid him back for his...
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
yeah, but I still worked with him.
Yep.
So I started my own company, but we worked separate ABNs, but came together on big jobs.
Out of interest, just because of recent podcasts, what was the business name called, your first company?
Waterproofing Custom Coatings.
Okay, that's different than
Yeah,
just
yeah.
AM waterproofing.
Well, this came from my accountant.
Yep.
right? Because my accountant just goes, stop being all fancy with fucking names and give us what you actually do.
Oh, were you just sitting at home just like, oh, this is going to be sick. It'll be
Yeah,
like
what am I gonna call
platinum
it?
diamond coat
Yeah,
waterproof.
that's
like,
right. Exactly.
Adelaide exclusive,
Yeah.
expensive diamond coat. Yep. Cool.
And that's exactly what my accountant said. He goes, just tell us what you fucking do, man. All right?
Sounds like a good accountant.
Yeah, he was. We had challenges. So I did that. Started my own business. We still worked together, but I wanted to chase bigger things. You know, I wanted to... Probably I shouldn't have. Yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit with it. Not expecting what was coming. Book work was, I knew nothing about business. There was no one there to teach me about business. I used to go back to Johnny, say, oh, what should I do there? He'd go see the accountant, go do this. And nah, fuck that stuff. I'm just going to keep working, man. I've got to make money. Taking big jobs on where I wasn't equipped for this, right? So I started taking on these big jobs, right? And I was becoming unstuck here and there. I'm just very lucky I had Johnny there to back myself up, and he would come through. And, you know, I remember one job he said to me, he goes, do not take this fucking job. He goes, this will fucking haunt you. He says, fucking the money won't haunt me. I said, fucking, this is big money in this.
Because the money was good.
Yeah.
So were you chasing the glory or was it money?
Money.
Yeah, so it wasn't about doing the Hilton Hotel or doing the new nightclub. It was about that's 50 grand. I want the 50 grand.
Because that's initially what I chased it. I started to love it after time. I started to love the feeling of waterproofing. And
okay. So you weren't a waterproofer because you were like, wow, just, you know, going to bed at night knowing that place is secure. No, it was money.
It was money.
Yep.
And then that started to come where I was like, fuck, flood it. Let's flood it. Let's flood test this thing. You know, I was starting to get that joy of fucking, you know what, this works. So from that point, I started taking on things that I shouldn't have. They were costing me money. I did stupid mistakes where people wanted to pay cash, and I'd buy on credit card. I was never taught nothing, right? So I was just doing it.
Well, that's probably one of the disappointing things that could do with some reform in Australia is how easy it is to start a business without having any idea on how to run a business.
Absolutely.
And it can really hurt people. I think, did I do it in the car with Glenn about that? I don't know if I've done it yet, but like, you kind of, it's easy for you to think that, well, you're not even thinking about it, but you might be like, oh, well, I'm the only one that's being affected by this. When it's not true. You've got all these other people, like, you know, if you owed money to landscape supply yards or
that's right,
subcontractors, and then you're not paying it. But
it's exactly right. And that's where I didn't know anything about business, kept trying to refer back to Johnny, but yet chasing these big jobs. And because I had guys in that game, not in the waterproofing game, but in the game of building, they would just ring me, do you reckon you could take this on? Do you reckon, you know, there's 400 square meters, 500 square meters there. This is massive, right? You got rain, you got all this shit that comes with it. Anyway, some of them cost me a fair bit of money, just from problems. Dealt with so many different challenges along the way of having to get independent people in for testing and things like that, which I never knew nothing about back then. But it taught me so much.
Did you have staff then?
No.
You did it on your own?
Me and Johnny used to team up, and then we subcontract people in.
Yeah, okay.
Back then, you couldn't turn around and go, I'm just going to subcontract a couple of waterproofers in.
Yeah.
Well, many around. Yeah, Johnny was waterproofing in probably the late 90s.
And what, waterproofing wasn't a thing? Or like it was really early on the scene?
It was early in the scene. People weren't really doing a lot of it, you know. There wasn't a lot of people that did it. That's why Johnny had such a niche market.
So what would someone would call him if, so you said balconies or roofing, like if they had an issue, obviously the house, that building probably was built 30, 40, 50 years previously. So there was no waterproofing.
No waterproofing.
And it wasn't on the minds of people that, you know, what, you just build it and deal with the issues later?
Yeah. Well, lightweight technology started to come in.
Yep.
So lightweight building.
Is that when Hebel in the early 2000s,
cement
late 90s,
sheet, you know, all that came in. So waterproofing went from, okay, it needs to be done.
Yep.
From there to fucking right up there. It's like, shit, everyone needs to do it now.
Yep.
Places were getting more complex too.
And so was the government or the regulations behind then? Like there was no real regulations around waterproofing?
No, there was regulations, and people had codes for it. But no one was teaching you how to waterproof.
Okay.
You couldn't go somewhere and go, right, I'm going to go to TAFE and let someone teach you how to waterproof.
I'm going to go do a trade and do an apprenticeship in waterproofing as such. It doesn't exist. Does it exist now?
Doesn't exist now.
Yeah.
Right, so it doesn't exist now, and that's what's so niche. But there's some really good waterproofers out there as well.
Yeah.
That taught themselves along the way.
So there's like an underground apprenticeship, right? Like you've just got to go work for one of the masters.
Yeah.
And you'll learn.
I mean, most tilers will do all their bathrooms, balconies, things like that, right?
Yep. But
that's where it stops. Now, when I talk waterproofing, it's not that. I talk waterproofing of retaining walls. 300, 400, 500 square meter retaining walls, rooftops. Every rooftop in the city, you go drive through the city, look at all the buildings. Up there's waterproofing, right? So you got so many things, facades of buildings that need to be waterproof. So it's not just bathrooms. Now, like I just said, tilers can do that. That's easy. But when you're just using liquids as your waterproof, and that's all that you deal in, that's not being a well-rounded waterproofer, right? A well-rounded waterproofer knows how to use everything.
Those waterproofing products and that system, though, those tilers wouldn't need to know any more than that, right?
Exactly.
Like, that's their job.
So
they're the ones, like for anyone that's seen it, like on the block or whatever, where they go in and they check that the wet area has been waterproofed.
Yep.
So for anyone listening, obviously there's an audience of landscapers, but then hopefully we might have some other audience. So waterproofing, I guess, what's the most simple way of what is waterproofing and why is it being done?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we can expand into the difference between internal residential and external. So what is waterproofing? Like, what's the idea behind it?
Okay, waterproofing is to keep water out of the substrate and put it into a puddle flange or into drainage.
Okay, so directing it away from where you don't want it into an area you do want it.
Correct.
Without doing damage along the way.
Without damaging the structure.
Yep. So traditionally, with that waterproofing, you'd have residentially it'd be in a shower, right?
Yep.
You see that where that's kind of like taped off and it's just
Correct.
a wet area, or they'll waterproof the whole room.
Yeah.
Right. Is it more just the area?
Well, that all comes down to a code then.
Yep.
Right, so that all comes to a code as well. So where they're waterproofing within a shower alcove, right, and a floor base with water stops and all those things, that's a code that we have to follow now.
Yep. So does someone check that? Like, so if a waterproofer does the waterproofing, does it have to be signed off by anyone?
No.
They just have to. They have to stick to the standards of their trade.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. So
So that's waterproofing a bathroom or a wet area in a house. So then you talked before about landscaping and rooftops and that kind of thing. So obviously I've been exposed to the landscaping side of it, and waterproofing seems to be more and more a big part of everything that everyone's doing.
Yep.
What are people waterproofing? So obviously there's pools, retaining walls, and do they waterproof just one side of a retaining wall, or how, like what?
Yep, the soil side.
So the soil side. So you want to stop water going through the wall.
Yep. Correct.
Okay. And if the wall was clad with a tile, would you do the whole lot?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, because I reckon I've seen some guys waterproof, like
all
almost basically
over.
completely cover the whole wall.
Yeah, you can do that. But you also got to be very careful of not over waterproofing as well, because you can cause dramas sometimes if things can't breathe or water can't release or something like that. So you got to be very careful to overdo the
So to be conscious to make sure that if water does get in there for any reason, it can get out as well.
Yeah. If you're going to allow that, and look, it depends how big the wall is as well.
Yep.
If it's just a small parapet wall, well, you don't really need to do that. But if you've got a wall that's going to be collecting a lot of water and there's stone on there, porous substrate, that's going to water's going to go straight into the wall. You've got to be careful, and the selection of products. It's another thing.
What's one of the biggest issues that you're seeing, or one of the things that maybe the landscape industry aren't conscious of, or that they're not doing in waterproofing now that they should be aware of?
Okay. There's a fair bit in that area.
that's a big question.
Yeah.
I just remember there being a thing recently about like waterproofing near a house, like where it meets, where like say stone meets the house, and
slab edge.
Yeah.
Slab edge. That's probably the biggest thing that we're getting now.
Yep.
Everyone's hot on this slab edge dampness. I was actually thinking about doing a show at Mapei about it, just on slab edge dampness, because it's the easiest thing to get in trouble over, and it's the cheapest thing to fix, cheapest thing to avoid. So yeah, I believe that if every landscaper knows this, to keep themselves out of the shit, keep themselves from getting sued, costing them a huge amount of money to rip things up, pathways, driveways. I would 100% be doing it.
So talk me through this. So the house slab is there.
Yep.
And then obviously the landscaper and the builder meet at the slab edge.
Yep.
Right? So what are we doing? We're waterproofing the edge to stop water getting
Correct.
into the house?
Correct.
From the landscaping?
Yes. So you're waterproofing that edge, right? So you've got that edge there of the slab.
Yep.
Let's say your pathway goes up against it or your soil goes up against it. You'll have a little gap at the top to the damp course.
Yep.
Right? So it's almost like a breather, that is, right? But
It's like an air gap, yeah?
air gap.
Yeah.
But when you're there, before everything is there's Forticon, right? And that's stuck inside the ground. What you're supposed to do is release the Forticon, wrap it back up the wall. That's what it's there for. Everyone knows that's not going to work because the fact is that it's going to be destroyed by the end of the build or by the end of whatever renovation they're doing, right? So what you've got to do to run by code, right, is release that Forticon, waterproof it, right, and then try your best to bring it back up or re-put the Forticon there, and then you're at least following the code.
So if you are able to release the Forticon and put it back,
Yep.
you've met code?
Yeah.
So the waterproofing doesn't have to be done.
Doesn't have to.
But it's very rare that they can successfully do the
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yep.
So almost like they're double tarping, right?
Yep.
So they're pulling that back. So Forticon's the plastic that's under the cement
Under
edge.
it. Yep.
So you're pulling that off as in it's kind of stuck to the cement.
And well, that would be on the soil.
Yep.
So slab there, and that weighs over into the soil this side.
Yep.
So you've got to think there's also all the runoff from the formwork as well.
Yep.
That sits underneath. So not only is the slab edge goes like that, it goes like that, and you've got all the rough parts there.
Yep.
So if you're going to try and bring that around, it's going to try and wrap there. It's going to pierce it
Yep.
anyway. You have to jackhammer that flat.
So is there some code reform like opportunities there? Like that's probably part of what
Yeah.
needs to be done.
Yeah.
But that's government and it takes time.
That's government. There is things coming with waterproofing.
Is the waterproofing, is there an association of waterproofers, or like do you guys have someone that goes and lobbies the government, or is that up to the manufacturers? Or
Right now, there is something going on.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm in talks with people
Okay.
in those areas. So they've just announced, was it Friday they announced it? I think Friday they announced that there's Cert 3 coming for concreters.
Okay.
Right? Which is brand new, right? In this, I'm thinking waterproofing is going to be very shortly behind this.
Yep.
So there's going to be a Cert 3 in waterproofing.
Because concreting is a very wide umbrella.
Yep.
Right? There's a lot of people that touch
Heaps.
concrete. So let's take care of that first.
Yep.
Then waterproofing follows
Yeah.
because there's less impact. There's less people impacted potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we see that with the landscaping industry because ultimately the government there's two sides to government, obviously doing what they say they're going to do, but also getting re-elected. And I think sometimes they can concentrate on the highest head count of an industry.
Yep.
So concrete's got a high head count, right?
100%.
Waterproofing probably sits with, or even probably below landscaping from a head count standpoint. Head count
100%.
standpoint. Yeah.
I deal with 42 waterproofers in Adelaide.
That's right. And then so there's definitely more landscapers. So
Yeah.
then to get waterproofing reform is going to be a challenge, and it's like you have to be a very loud voice from such a small group.
Correct.
So with that wet edge, so that waterproofing will get applied to that, and that can be any range of products. Obviously, it has to be the right product for the job.
It does.
So-
It does. And you're best off coming to the manufacturer and finding
Yep.
out which one
Yep.
is suitable for that. Plenty of products out there that are suitable for
Yep.
it. Yeah.
I want to be relatively agnostic from a brand standpoint. Obviously, I'm aware that where your allegiances are now.
Yeah. Yep.
But people could choose to buy from a multitude of
course.
different manufacturers. Obviously, you believe that your brand is going to be the best choice for them.
Yep.
Um,
Well, you're going to get the best advice.
yeah, because Alex works for
Correct.
Mapei. Right?
Yeah. You want an ex-waterproofer telling you what you're waterproofing, don't you?
So that wet edge gets applied, then they've taken care of probably one of the
Yep.
highest concerns in waterproofing in the landscape industry.
Yeah.
If they do that.
Yep.
When you have a concrete, I'm going to say concrete and cement all the time because I don't know the
Yeah.
difference. So if you've got a slab that you're direct sticking tiles to,
Yep.
people will waterproof the slab.
Yep.
Do they have to?
Don't have to.
No. Okay, but it's going to stop water from coming up or water from going down.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things you got to look out for here.
Yeah.
Right? Water sitting below the tiles. So what people worry about is water going into the concrete and then re-drying out as salt.
Yep.
Right? And then that's where you get efflorescence. But that's also not proven either.
It's not. So that's not a desirable look. But but it's not a damaging.
No,
thing. It's
I
just
don't
salt.
think efflorescence is damaging. It's just
Yeah,
breathing out
and it looks
salt.
bad,
It looks
yeah.
terrible,
Yep.
you know. It's like furry salt look, you know. No one likes that, but at the end of the day, it's not destroying the structure.
Yep.
You know, but yeah, this is where, and as we were speaking about before, with my swimming pool, this is where we all need to test what we're doing, and we all need to know what works and what doesn't. And some people say, nah, have to waterproof. Realistically, I think falls are probably more critical, right? If that thing's got really good falls, right, and the water's getting to where it needs to be, right, well, you haven't got water pooling, do you?
So a good waterproofer can mask a bad concreter.
Yeah. Yeah, because, but if he comes in and says, right, we've got low spots here, there, and then they feather finish or level out and get it to the right fall, well, everyone's kind of safe then, aren't they? But people like to do it as an extra precaution. I mean, I was at a house the other day where they had Map Elastic Smart, the whole house, every pathway, and this house was massive. Every pathway, and the guy, I don't want any efflorescence. Hold on a second. Is that going to stop the efflorescence, though?
So you're saying, as in it could come from the stone or even the cement product that sticks the stone down. So if they direct stick that as a tile, using tile glue, in your opinion, would that be less likely to have that happen than if they mortar bed them down?
Yeah.
Because the tile glue is less likely to have salt content.
That's right, depending on your tile adhesive. And we'll speak about this before. I chose for mine the one with the less of the Portland cement in it. Because I thought that's what...
So you've got a theory on that, but you're just testing it at the moment.
Yeah, we're testing at the moment. We're just trying to work out whether that is true. And it's probably one of the biggest phone calls I get, to be honest. You know, and Master Builders have just brought out, and they announced this only a few weeks ago as well, about the stone, about no more manufactured stone from overseas because of silicosis. And it's not just silicosis though.
That's for the manufactured stone for kitchens, right? For bench tops, right?
Bench tops, things like that.
But we're not using that outside.
No, but that will come as well.
Because
people are getting really bad reactions with it. Once they lock the stone in, the sun comes out, starts to bow, and you know, they're getting all sorts of damages on, you know, $50,000, $100,000 jobs. So who pays for that?
'Cause I'm just thinking back. So our house was waterproofed underneath the natural stone, and then it was tile glued on, and we have not had any effervescence.
What colour? What colour was yours? Yours is a beige.
The stone's grey. It's
grey, like a light.
I'm going to get this wrong. I think it's called Pietra Grigio, which is like a grey limestone.
Grigio.
Yeah.
Grigio. So that's like a light silvery.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like a. Yeah, so there's nothing coming through that, but I don't know.
So you put a monument or you put something dark down there that gets very hot.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
You got water trapped underneath those tiles, and then the sun comes out.
So that heats it up more. Okay, so a lighter coloured tile doesn't heat up as much.
Doesn't affect it. So
you're
not cooking where the water's sitting where the glue is. Right. You're not cooking that glue, are you?
Yep.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, this is as dark a stone as you'd probably want to go with before you start talking black and charcoal. I mean, it's not. It's a natural stone, right?
Yeah.
You can't. I don't know if you can mine black stone, but sure you can.
Natural stone. I mean, you got to assume you're going to get some sort of efflorescence in natural stone. When it's in the fucking mountain.
How's it been around? But yeah, that's right. It's been in the ground for 20,000 years.
That's right. Got efflorescence coming out of that.
Yeah.
So you can't expect not to. But
I used to worry about my stone being like chipped and you know, whatever. And now, as the years have gone by, I'm like, actually, I didn't realize that it's okay for it to age.
Yeah,
right.
Stone.
It still looks nice.
Yeah,
you know, you get these cracks or a bit of an edge chip off on a stair, and you're like, well, that's just part of it. Like it's a natural stone. And
I did the same with mine, travertine, and you get these little cracks.
Baby, it's so much, and you're like, ugh.
At the start, you think, oh shit, I'm gonna seal this, I'm gonna do this, and afterwards, I fucking heck you. You know what I mean? Fucking hell.
Yeah, well, you're gonna buy your neighbour's property anyway. So
we'll buy the whole backyard out. Put a gym.
So you can come train with me. Yeah. It's probably a long drive. You're better off going to the one in the city. So waterproof, so that you've got your slab edge, waterproofing under, I guess stone and porcelain. Is there a different, if it's under porcelain, is it treated differently than if it's natural stone? So it's the same. And then behind retaining walls, which you can do with a trowel on, brush on, paint on.
We can do more than that.
Or you can do plastic on.
Okay, so we can do, you could do liquid.
Yep.
Right? So
as in a tub of waterproof?
Tub of waterproof. It's got to be done correctly. You could do
So
sheet
it's like
membrane.
a bitumised rubber.
Yep.
Yep, that's what.
Yeah, out of a bucket.
Yep.
You could use cementitious
Yep.
membranes as well
Yep.
for behind there because they can take soil pressure.
Yep.
You could do sheet membrane, which comes in a form of like peeling and sticking.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Then you could do torch on, which comes in, just imagine a gas bottle, barbecue gas
Yeah.
bottle. It's got a massive hose and a gun at the end with
Yep.
a big thing at the top.
So like similar to spraying cement for a pool, or not?
No.
Not as aggressive.
No, this is like a gun that shoots out flames.
Yep.
Right, and that's what we used to do. We used to torch on sheets and melt sheets.
Oh, sorry. I now
Yeah.
understand. So the plastic sheet binds to the retaining wool product using its melting to it.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm heating
It's
it up.
fusing to it. Yeah.
That's right. I'm heating it up. I'll show you a video. I
Yep.
did one the other day just for a mate
Yep.
building an underground cellar. So I went there and quickly torched it for him. Whereas, see, that's where, I suppose that's where Mapei's so big, which people don't know that. We own the biggest manufacturer of sheet membranes in the world, which
Yep.
is Polyglass.
Yep.
So yeah, they reckon the Polyglass factory in the north of Italy, you can drive and you're still going past the factory. It's that big. So
Do you think that's the best way to waterproof behind a retaining wall?
I love sheet membranes.
It's just because it's fun to do.
Oh,
Or does
on a
you think
cold
it's the
day,
best?
it's awesome, right? But when you're out there in 40 degrees and
Yeah.
you're trying to torch on,
Yeah.
and the flames are bouncing back, your fucking fingers are getting burnt,
Yeah.
because you've got to hold the roll somewhere, right? And you've got a torch as well. It's actually Johnny gave me the other day when I went to torch my mates. Johnny goes, yeah, the glove's in there because you need one glove, right?
Yeah.
And I pulled the glove out, and I went, oh, that's not bad. And I had a hole straight through the thumb.
Yeah.
So the flame is running straight inside my glove.
Yeah.
And it's just a fucking nightmare, and I'm used to it.
Do you think it's the best way to waterproof?
Oh, I like it, but
Yep.
I've also got self-adhesive sheets
Yep.
that someone can do a sheet membrane without having to have the craft of
Burn the thumb
torching
off.
it. That's right.
So torching's also a skill, right? Like
It
it's
is.
not. You got to make sure that you're moving the flame at the right rate to
Correct.
to melt it, but not set fire to it.
Not melt it and not melt it
hole in
completely.
it, yeah.
It has to just butter.
Yep.
It just has to just melt a little bit to keep on the wall. So you don't want to go too far.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And there's only a few really good torch on guys out there in Adelaide.
Yeah. Do you think that's a skill that will die with their retirement? Or there's
They
always
probably
going to be
handing it
yeah,
on.
there's always
handing
someone
on.
coming.
Yeah, there's guys. I mean, there's guys that are decent torch on guys, but I've seen some really good ones.
Yeah.
Especially working for Mapei now. Like,
Yep.
we sell a lot of torch on. So there's some really good torch on guys that are quick as well.
Yep.
Yeah. But it doesn't stop there as well. So you can go the next level. And you go next level, and that's polyurea, right? So polyurea is probably you could probably say polyurea is probably the best membrane in the world if we're looking at it for what it is. It's a two component polyurethane. So it goes from one drum to the other drum. This one's a heated line, that one's a natural line, goes like that, and then meets up. And then once it meets up, it dries in 3 seconds at hitting the ground. Blah, blah,
So
blah.
it splatters on.
Yep, so it sprays
Yep.
like this, and then you can keep walking on top of it because it's just dry.
Like a fiberglass.
No, rubber.
Yeah.
Just imagine a thick rubber coming out.
Yep.
You get it to about 2.5 mil.
Yep.
Polyurea, but you need it's about 100 grand setup just to apply it.
Yep.
One of my big waterers just bought a machine the other week, and they've had to buy the van to go with it because you need a lift thing because this thing's like fucking a big computer on wheels kind of thing. Because you remember it's heated.
Yeah.
It's heated
That's
line.
to
This thing,
regulate the heat.
that's right. That line has to be at a certain temperature.
Is that just running off of a standard PowerPoint? Like a 10 amp?
No. This is like a 3-phase and
Yep.
all this bullshit that comes with it, and then
Yep.
it's just a big setup. And there's literally 3 machines in Adelaide.
So what would they use them for? Like a rooftop?
Rooftops.
Yep.
I'll give you one. Right?
What, the machine?
No, I'll give you a job. Right? There's Burnside car park. Right? You know Burnside Shopping Centre.
Yeah, I don't frequent there. I can't afford to shop there, but that's where they've got the tree that died. They built that stupid.
Yeah,
yep.
correct.
Yep.
Right? So they're doing a massive extension.
Yeah, out the side there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you look down into the hole in the ground, there's a massive hole in the ground, right? It's got soldier poles all the way around. There's 23,000 square meters of waterproofing in there.
So they'll waterproof edge to edge and the floor.
Yep. And that's
Yep.
got to be polyurea.
Yeah, that's just spec polyurea.
Yep.
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 And so there's only 3 guys that contender for that in South Australia.
Yep.
And not all of them might be interested in the job.
But then you might get guys saying, fucking, that's
Victoria.
massive. I'm coming
Yeah.
over. You
Yep.
mean to do this?
Yep.
So they'll start tendering for it. And Mapei's got polyurea. couple other
Yep.
companies.
So it's
not many. Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
not branded that it has to be Mapei. It just has to be polyurea.
Has to be polyurea, and then depends how good a relationship I've got with the waterproofs to choose me.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
over
fair. Yep.
Seeker
Yep.
is probably the other one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you transitioned from running your own business into sales. Was that from your own business? Did you just go, this is like, I've
Nah, it was
got
a
no
big journey
idea.
before that.
So what happened?
I went to my own business first. So working with Johnny in Remedial, and we were doing well. Then took my own business on, tried to go that next step. Things weren't working right, but I persisted with it. I went through the GFC at that time too.
Yep.
Didn't really affect me. I still had builders. I still had work coming.
Well, it was only you, right?
Yeah, no, it wasn't just me out
That's
there.
in. Sorry, you didn't have a mouth. You didn't have
I
all
didn't
these
have
other
people.
staff you
Yeah,
had to look
so
after.
me and Johnny used to just work together, so it cost us nothing.
And if you didn't have a warehouse and
no overheads, we used to use a shed, and that's
Yep.
it to store our stuff in. Because we still had spray machines and stuff, but not polyurea machines. We just had normal spray machines, right? So in that time, went through the GFC, and I was working hard and making less money, and that's what I felt, and it put me off big time. So I was getting pissed off all the time, and people were coming out of nowhere just saying they were waterproofing now, and I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
Right, so anyway, that happened. I said to Johnny, it's pissing me off having my own business now. And he said, and I made so many mistakes in my own business, like fucking I fucked up so much, right? But that's, no one was there to teach me anything. So I just went, all right, I'm packing up. I'm out of here, right? And Johnny goes, just come back and work for me, right? And I just went, no. I'm going to go run with a massive commercial waterproofing company, right? So he goes, whenever you don't want to do that, come back, and you come work with me. So I just went to another company called Nova Waterproofing, right? So went in there, knew some people in there, went there, was the quickest. So I went there and I said, I just want to be a worker. Put me on the jobs, right? I can do everything you want to do anyway, right? Right, so I went there that day and they said, right, you're going to be operations manager. I said, I just want to work, right? No, you're going to be operations manager. And I said, all right, Steve. All right, whatever, I'll do it, right?
Steve's a pretty good salesperson.
Yeah, right. He just put it to me and I just went in there, right? Yeah. So now I've got 12
So were you working
dudes.
out of Newton?
Yeah.
In 07, 08, 09-ish?
No, later.
10, 11?
11.
Yeah, okay. So I was working in Newton. I reckon I must have left 08, 09. So we had that like...
08, 09.
Yeah.
So you left from Newton's 08.
Yeah, and then you went into Nova. Because I like Steve. He used to come to Newton's all the time. And I'd try and sell him shit and he'd be like, don't worry. Don't worry about it. You're wasting your time.
Look, Steve's a good bloke and I had a laugh with him all the time. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Obviously Mario was across the road as well at Euro Appliances. We had some good times. But remember, I walked into a job where I knew some people at the top, but I didn't know the workers. So I walked in there and these guys are working and this dude's just coming in and fucking operations manager. It's hard, right? Because now you're telling these guys what to fucking do and they've been there for fucking 3 years, right? So initially it was hard for me, right? Because I was trying to be like saying to these guys, let's do this, let's do that, right? And they were like, it almost felt like they were ganging up on me, like going, like talking amongst themselves, leaving me out of it, right? Because they just thought, who the fuck are you, dude, right? And I get that, man, right? So one night I was just sitting there, I was like, these guys don't respect the fuck me at all, right? So I went, fuck this, right? I'm gonna get on the tools with them, show them I can do exactly what they fucking do, right? So that's what I did. I just jumped on the tools. I was doing torch on with them. I was doing everything with them. Then they started to come around. And then we're talking about, John, they're like, at least you fucking know what you're doing. You're just telling us what to do without knowing yourself, right? Even I still keep in contact with one of the guys that I was there, which works for another company now, right? And got on the tools and things got easier. We're doing really good jobs. And so I've lasted there for a while.
How long did you stay with them working on the tools? Like, did you just do that for a couple of months just to kind of...
No.
You just kept doing it?
Year and a half or
so.
So
they knew by that. They were like, no, this guy's the real deal.
Yeah. We were working together, having a
and
great
so then
time.
what you had to do that and be the ops manager.
Yeah.
So you just had to do your other job
later
at the end of the day.
I branched off the tools a little bit more as I went on, to be able to... That's really hard, when you've got a certain amount of vans, a certain amount of people, and a certain amount of jobs, right? You got to organise every night where they got to go, and you got fucking, Chevellos, Tagaras back then.
Yeah, but
right?
then you're shandying. I'm sick. My dog's sick. My
Yes.
wife. Yeah.
Moving guys around. I got site supervisors, MOSSIPs ringing me, going, "Fuck, if you're not here today, fucking, we're cutting the contract for the job." This is all commercial, right? So this is nothing.
We got liquidated damages as well, right? If
That's
you're not
right.
finished in time.
Holding people up.
Yeah.
We're holding people up. So you'd go nuts doing this, and so shit, we've got to get products. Fuck, we've got to do this. Oh, we've run out of this, and then you got guys fuck-assing around down at fucking Bunnings trying to grab some stuff just out of nowhere because you were in the area, So it's costing money, and that was hard work. But I'm glad I did it. Taught me a lot.
Well, that sounds like you got a pretty good experience between boutique balcony restorations through residential into your commercial, then into Steve's commercial. Like that's a pretty wide experience, right?
Yeah.
And so, what, you left Steve's to go selling, or
no? I had a motorbike accident, and so that hurt a little bit because broke a few things. So after that, I just had a daughter as well at the time, so she was 6 months old, and my wife was going back to work. She goes, "You know what? You can't work anyway. Can you look after the kids?" I was like, "Fucking, it's a bit hard, you know what I mean? I fucking snapped both bones in this arm, broken pelvis, 4 ribs stuck in my lung." So it was a very challenging time.
Yeah.
I've never looked after a fucking kid.
No. Well, there's no. You think there's no like waterproofing apprenticeship? There's no having a kid apprenticeship.
No, nothing like that. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. So my missus goes, "He's going to be a fucking stay-at-home dad for a little bit, right?" And I was like, "Fuck, that was the worst." It was good with the kid, but and I learnt so much of that as well. But it was just challenging.
So how long did you look after her for? Like from 6 months?
It ended up being fucking 2 years.
Yeah, that's time. It's funny. Like, and I know you're saying it was the worst, but it's also the best, right? Like,
yes,
that time with her.
Oh, it was you couldn't. Yeah, it's priceless.
Yeah, and I imagine your wife at times was probably resentful of the fact that you had
100%.
so much shit. You're like, "No, that's right. I know what she likes." She's
Exactly.
like, "You know what she likes.
Yeah.
She's my daughter."
We used to go do the grocery shopping. Like, I'm thinking, "What the fuck am I doing grocery shopping?" Like, just to hit you when you're in the supermarket. It's like, dude, I should be working.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. It was a big adjustment.
Yeah.
But then I started working again, and I thought, no, I'm not going to go back to waterproof. Fuck this, I just broke my pelvis as well. It's hard to fucking crawl around and go on your knees. It's a bit hard, right? So I just, my mate owned a yogurt factory, so he goes, "Why don't you come merchandise for me just for a few days?" And I said, "Yeah, fuck it, let's do it, right?" So I went out and started merchandising for him. So going to food lands and stuff like that. And I was like,
"Well, you look good in a polo shirt. You'd be a good merchandiser."
Yeah, I was cruising around. It was all right, man. I had a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
And I was working with mates too because they own the factory, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, out of nowhere, I get a phone call from Paskey, right, from Gripset.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Alex," because I used to buy direct from them years ago, right? Yeah. And I remember seeing her outside when we were having a chat. I said, "Fucking maybe eventually down the track, maybe I could come into a role there when I'm sick and tired of being on the tools. Maybe I'll go on a role within here." And she goes, "I'll keep it in mind," right? So she has plucked me out of nowhere years later, right? 4 years later, right? And said, "Hey, something's popped up here. Do you want to work?" I said, "I'd love to, but you know what? I can only do 3 days a week. My wife's back at work now, right?" So anyway, I went and saw Phil, and he goes, No, we need to get your experience in here, right? Unbelievably, we want you now.
So whatever your conditions were, we'll work around you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I did 3 days a week, right? So I was working 3 days a week. I said, "What do you want me to do?"
Just be here.
Answer the phones, answer technical stuff. And I was like, easy. I was answering phones to people and, "Hey, yeah, you could do this, do that, right?" And they go, "You know what, can you go on the road for 3 days?" And I said, "I'm not a salesman. I don't know what I'm doing, And they go, "You don't have to be. Just a waterproofer. Just go talk to people." "Oh, I can do that." Right? So I jumped in the car, start cruising around, just bringing people I knew, saying, "I've got some products here for you." Obviously, I couldn't help all the waterproofers out because there's products that I have, that they needed, right, that I couldn't get. But, that leads me on to where I am now. I've got everything, there's nothing I'm missing. I've got everything from, polyurea to fucking sheet to, standard liquids.
So how long were you working with Phil? It was years.
What was that 7 years?
Yeah, okay.
Right? Yeah.
So I was interested to understand the journey from being a waterproofer to being a salesperson, and obviously you probably still don't think you're a salesperson. You think you call yourself a waterproofer, but
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Do you I guess what were some of those early learnings that you know, obviously in your business, you said you learned a lot, and I'm keen to kind of probably capture a few of your learnings that might benefit others.
Join them up, yeah.
Yeah, but then what in the sales side of things, what were some early learnings that you went, holy shit, I wish I'd known that might help, say, someone else that's looking to move from landscaping into working for a landscape company, or like, you know.
Yeah. Be honest. Just be honest with people.
Yep.
You know, I used to have tilers turn around and go, oh, you know, if I use this glue, and I was like, don't talk to me about tiling, man. I know nothing about tiling. I had no idea what tiling. But what I identified early is tilers, their struggles was waterproofing, not tiling. Right? They don't need to know fucking tiling. We're apprentices. That's an apprenticeship. It's waterproofing the grey area. So I was like, oh, hold on, these guys really don't know what they're doing in waterproofing. I can help you out here. I can teach you guys. So I started doing that. Right? So I started going out with the tilers. I was just working more with the tilers. I've got waterproofers, a set of waterproofers that just do bathrooms and balconies. That's all they do. And yeah, I can deal with them, right? And I'll deal with them day to day. But the tilers I focused on. And that was, I think, the biggest thing for me. I just directed myself to them and thought, well, hold on, you know, I can teach these guys. So because I didn't have all the products for a full waterproofer as well, you know, some of them wouldn't use me. You know, they'll be mates with me and ring me and say hello and everything, but they just won't use me.
Like me with you now.
Yeah, you know, kind of like that. You know, they're happy to ring me and have a chat,
welcome.
Have a laugh.
Yeah, you're always welcome. Come in.
They won't use me in that way because I couldn't give them what they needed.
Is that because some people desire to be like one brand, full suite kind of thing?
There's that. There's tier one. So people talk tier one in waterproofing, tier one companies, right? So if you're a tier one company, you're accepted onto commercial sites.
Yep. So you've met all of the safety and OH&S and quality assurance and everything else.
And you have to have enough money backing you that if something goes wrong, right, they know that, and they'll only deal with the likes of big companies, tier one, your Mapei, Yardex, those guys, you know, because they're big enough worldwide. So if anything goes wrong, they can cover it. So there was a lot of dead ends in my area that I couldn't get into those areas because they wouldn't allow it. And this is where my transition to Mapei has taught me as well. So whereas I never got the door open for me back then, now they open the door for you and like, fucking come on in.
So you find that knocking on a door with a Mapei logo on your chest versus other brands that you've worked with before, a higher percentage of those doors get opened?
Yeah, it's just the amount of products they've got, how big they are. I mean, they've been around for 85 years.
Brand recognition as well.
A
higher percentage of people in the trade know what Mapei is?
Yeah.
Or know the brand?
Know the brand more in a commercial sense.
Yep.
You know, like high-end waterproofers, full commercial waterproofers will know that, you know, we've got 6,000 product lines. Just for example, like, I know that there's other companies out there that are trying to like make a product, could never get it right. When I went over to Mapei, I found a product and I rang the product line guy and I just went, is this product available? And they go, oh, we can send it down for you from Italy if you want, right? And I was like, people have been trying to invent this product. You've had it for the fucking 8 years.
And so the business's size is its strength and its weakness, right?
Absolutely.
So like they don't even know that there's people in Australia that want it.
Nope.
Because no reps communicated well. No waterproofers communicated with them well.
That's right.
So now you're communicating about things that...
Someone explained something to me and they said something about Mapei. Mapei's a great company and they just went, great company, but Mapei doesn't know what Mapei's got. That's how big they are.
Yeah. 6,000
lines. It's massive, right? So, but just everything they've got is great and good to use. And for me, I just love being involved with that.
Do you think transitioning from being a waterproofer to being a waterproofer salesperson was made easier because of Phil? Like if you'd gone into a different business, like if you'd gone straight from Alex's waterproofing business to Mapei, would that have been
you're
different?
Right. Yes.
Because you had like a director mentor in a way?
Absolutely. And because I already had a relationship with Phil and Pasky.
Yep.
You know, so I was walking in there, I bought direct from them. So I was walking in there going, what do I do? And
so they knew what to expect from you, you knew what to expect from them.
Yeah, so I learned all this through challenges, through guidance from Pasky and Phil on what to do and how to But I know there's certain things that, you get a phone call from, a weird number and it's a customer and they turn around and they go, oh, I've got some waterproofing done and they've done this, that and the other, right? Is that right? I don't know the job and I don't know who's done it, right? Whereas other people just throw up straight under the bus. No, that's not right. They won't get warranty for blah, 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 blah. Hold on. Next thing you get a phone call for the waterproofer. Hey, I do that system. That's what I do. That's your warranty, not mine, right? So at the end of the day, you've got to be careful in this game because it's niche.
Yeah. You obviously, honesty was the key thing you learnt from moving from being a waterproofer to being in sales. Did you find it was the same when you were doing your own business, or did you have to learn that? Like, were you not being completely honest? Obviously, you're in your early mid-20s.
Back then, right? When you're a waterproofer and you're trying to sell someone on waterproofing something that needs to be waterproofed, and they can't see it because it's going to be below soil, and then you're trying to charge 20 grand for it, right? That's your sale, because they're not going to just pay you 20 grand to something they don't see. If I was a renderer, a tiler or something like that, it's a finished product. They don't mind paying 20 grand.
It's almost harder than selling irrigation. At least irrigation pops up every now and then.
That's right. Waterproofing just stops the water and they don't care about it until something goes wrong. Yeah. And that's when everyone cares about it.
So did you have instances while you were installing where you weren't honest about things that caught you out? Like, is that what?
No,
or you've always been?
It's not the honesty thing that catches you out. It's probably being honest with yourself and what you're capable of, taking on jobs that were too big for you and you weren't keeping up, but saying, yeah, no, I'm all right. We'll keep going this. And then you get fucking 2 days of fucking bad weather that you couldn't do anything and everyone's yelling at you, oh, you're holding me up now. And you got all of a sudden 3 trades behind you yelling at you. Probably wasn't honest in that area, thinking I could take on the world. But yeah, that taught me so much.
So for anyone that's listening that's looking to start their own business, I mean, I'm just trying to think what learnings they could take from that. So obviously it's dangerous when you're young in business. You kind of want to please everyone. So saying yes.
Yeah, big time.
Yes, you need to be careful with the usage of the word yes.
Oh, I could give you an example, right? Do this area, just do it like that. Don't worry about it. It's not going to work right. If something happens, we'll deal with it later on, right? And I said, well, okay, you mean? Yeah, happens a year later. What do you mean? That never happened, right? That was probably one of my earliest learnings, that I kind of thought, hold on a sec, man. You aren't my mate. You know, we acted like friends on side, but you've just thrown me under the bus now when times got really tough, right? Because you didn't want to cop it. And now I'm fucking wearing it, right? For you wanting to hurry the job up and get your bonus.
Yeah, so not everyone's values are in line with yours, right? So their focus was finishing regardless.
Yeah.
And so your focus probably traditionally might have been finishing well.
Yeah.
And so then probably another learning from that is make sure that when those communications are occurring, they're in writing.
Yes. 100%. Yep. Emails.
Even just to whip out, I think, okay, just sign this for me. They'll be like, oh, I'm not doing that. Like,
they will never do it.
Okay, then, well, we're not doing it.
You know what? There's another really important thing that I learned, and Johnny was an innovator who I worked with. He was a solo waterproofer, did big stuff still, but he used to have back then digital camera and take a photo of everything. He goes, you don't finish anything without a photo because when you leave, you don't know what happens after that, right? And I said, good point, right? On one job, I had 97 photos, right? And they were going to take me to court. And I was like, fuck, am I fucked here, right? I thought, fucking, these photos prove a lot, right? So let's just put them out there on a USB back then, right? To everybody. It went quiet, right? Because I had all these photos. That's Johnny, right? Innovating. So I took little things like that, and I teach guys this now. So, I'll still get it now. I'll get a guy ring me up. I just want to be a waterproof. I want to do waterproofing. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to go. And I said, what's your experience? Oh, I've done bits and pieces with a tiler. And I said, it's not waterproofing. I said, you got to go work with someone for years before you're going to even attempt to get into that area. But where do I get a job? Well, that's the thing. You got to start ringing some waterproofing companies and see who's going to hire you. So yeah, you're not just going to, a lot of people go, oh, isn't that you just paint stuff? No, it's not. You don't just paint stuff on, right? It doesn't work like that. It's not waterproofed if I just paint it. So yeah, I'd, if you're a brand new waterproof, I'd work with someone for sure, because I'd learn the fuck ups, because you're going to probably hate it. You're going to walk away. So don't commit to a business. And I don't think you're going to be able to shortly anyway with Cert 3 coming through as waterproofing as well. It's going to weed out a lot of people.
So that Cert 3 should be connected to the licensing requirements. I'm guessing waterproofing's it's a licensing condition. Like
well, you had a BLD number, like we all kind of
do. You'd be licensed to waterproof.
Yeah. You'd go to OCBAR, they'd ask you a few questions.
But that's it.
And that's all.
But now you'll have your Cert 3.
You have to go Cert 3.
And your interview, and maybe some examples of work.
Yep.
There's your license.
That's right. So there's going to have to be some sort of give and take with guys that have been waterproofers for the past 15, 20 years.
There'll be there will. Look, I think it's not going to be any, and I don't know, so this is not advice, but my understanding or how I think it would go is that if you have been trading, they'll have an amnesty period of 12 to 24 months, like anyone that's actively doing it, they'll almost give them a license. Yeah. And I think we saw it with some cold water plumbing license because they brought them out. The government just needs to be like get the list of 80, 100 people that are doing it, charge them their $380 a head to bring the money in.
That's right.
But also now they've got people to watch. So they're going, okay, they're registered with us now. We know they're out there. Yeah. If someone registers a complaint, we've got their details. We can get back in touch with them. Yep. Then once that year or two of whatever amnesty, and they might not call it that's over, this is just my opinion, this is not what I've been told, then they will go, okay, if you want to do this process now, it's new. You have to do the Cert 3. You have to do this. So they might even give a 5-year amnesty on that.
Might be.
Because there's going to be people that are close. And they're like, oh, shit, we probably should just go get the license done now.
Because it's not going to be cheap either to go Cert 3, you know. I've already inquired, because other states have got it already. Yep. So, I've inquired within about...
But what, not cheap, like $3,000?
I reckon if you got like CITB and stuff like that,
if you're a member,
member, you might cut it in half. It might, so it could be $5,000.
Well, they'll deliver the training, right? Like, and this is
a TAFE has to deliver the training.
Sorry, it has to be an RTA. Yeah, so has to. So ARO or TAFE or whoever.
TAFE, yeah.
But then if it's somehow connected to the to a master builders or to a HIA or whatever or a master landscapers, then that might be subsidised in some capacity. Yeah. So. Yep. I mean, that's ultimately how I see most industries hoping to operate, is that the industry regulates itself. Mm-hmm. They have a peak body. Yep. So whether it's the master landscapers or the master plumbers or the master builders or
someone
the HIA, they're working with government to say, look, this is what the industry best standard is. Mm-hmm. Let's get some teeth in it so the government are actually behind it. Yeah. So we control the training, OCBAR control the licensing. If you've got the training, you get the licensing, and then you can go do the work.
That's right.
It seems simple.
It's simple. It's got to be regular. You think about it this way, right? Let's say that you're building a house and it's pitched into a hill, right? You've got retaining walls, which are part of your structure walls, right? And then I come through, inexperienced, and I gave you a great deal on this waterproofing, so you just took it, right? Now, all of a sudden, you start smelling mold, seeing some moisture's come out in your concrete underneath. Things are happening, right? Take the framing off, and bam, you've got fucking water coming through that wall, right? This is what people are trying to stop now with this Cert 3. This is what we have to stop. Yep. Because that's a fucking horror show.
Well, the challenge is going to be, there's a few there, like Cert 3 sorts out the training.
Out,
right? A little bit.
Yeah.
But then if no one's inspecting that work, or there's no punishment or penalty for bad quality work, there's a few steps there. 100%. Because, cool, you've got your Cert 3. Cool. Yeah. You do the work, and something goes wrong. What's the recourse? I don't know, get a letter from OCBAR? Or civil litigation.
Exactly. And what are you going to do if you're a business owner and a young business owner? You're just going to pull the pin on the business and walk away anyway. So there's no, and this would go back to builders and who they're choosing. And a lot of these builders I deal with have got their own waterproofers that they've been using for years. Yep. This is what they do. So they know how critical it is to have something go wrong. I see it. I've been involved with it.
Waterproofing definitely doesn't sound like the kind of thing that you want to choose the cheapest quote, right?
No, like, not waterproofing.
You're not going to know that it's a problem until it's a problem, and it's a few levels below everything else. Yeah. So everything else comes out.
That's right.
When waterproofing is a problem.
Exactly right. And the money it costs to fix. If you're going to go there and excavate landfill around a wall, the cost behind that is probably knocking down the house. You know, you think about it that way. Absolutely, you're choosing waterproofing, and most of the big builders are doing that now. They're not dealing with guys that are just off the cuff. They're dealing with proper waterproofers that can warrant the job. So when you walk
and that have enough assets behind them that should there be an issue, they're not just closing the business down.
Enough in your company. So anything commercial, you have to put that forward. Assets,
like bank guarantees,
you have to do all that now. So like Wattpack or Lend-Lease, all those guys there, man, they're only dealing with the waterproofers, like the big commercial guys. They're not dealing with anything small.
You talked before about when we were talking before we started the negative and positive waterproofing. Can you explain that? I didn't know what that meant.
Okay, so when we attack something from the positive side, let's just imagine a wall, right? We attack something from the positive side. That means we're attacking it from the soil side because that's where it's positive, right? Now, if later on it starts leaking down the track and we can't take the soil out because, it's in landfill, we have to attack it from the negative side. Okay. So we're going from the inside of the wall to try and trap it from coming out.
So then all of a sudden the wall becomes a water-filled vessel, but then no water's coming into the house.
That's right.
So positive waterproofing done well means no negative waterproofing is required.
Correct. Okay. Some people choose to do too.
Yep.
They choose to do too.
And then they've just got a sandwich of dry
That's right.
concrete or
That's right.
blocks.
So they'll do that. They'll pre-do it before anything can happen anyway. So 20 years down the track, let's say it gets through somewhere.
Then
they've already done it.
And then you've got a 50 or 100 year
That's right.
waterproofing
system.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. What are some common misconceptions around waterproofing that you've come up against? I mean, before you said that it's easy and you just paint it on. That's probably one.
That's probably one there. That's probably, thinking that waterproofing is, when it's in terms of liquid, is a paint, right? You don't paint it on, right? It's got to be, there's got to be a mill behind it. There's got to be thickness behind the membrane for it to work. That's probably one there. Detailing and cold joints, junctions. People think that they can just silicon that up and that's just going to work as well.
So what's that mean? What's a cold joint?
So when you let's just take it for an example, like a wall meets a floor, or a cold joint in the concrete where they've stopped pouring and then they pour again later when it's already dry, and that will turn into a cold joint, right?
As in because it's not one continuous piece.
Correct. Yep. That's stopped, right? So that there has got the likelihood of that moving more in that area is high. So you want to attend to all that stuff, and you've got to use different things. And this is where, with landscapers, if they've got problems, don't guess it. Don't guess it. Don't just, ponds, they've got planter boxes, retaining walls that they're touching. Don't guess it. Yeah, it's free phone call. A free phone call, ring me. Mate, what do I do here? What's your best practice to do this? Man, advice is free.
Do you find that you're like an exception to the rule there, or do you think that, I guess, in Mapei, nationwide, that the reps would be like that, and then obviously with the other brands, or are you kind of a bit of a...
Well, there's probably not...
They're not all
There's
like
not
you.
another rep that's a waterproofer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it an exception
so you're
to the
able
rule?
to give that advice because you've...
Because I've done it. Yeah. It's like if there was a rep that's a tiler, if there was a rep that was a landscaper.
Are you getting those calls from interstate as well then? Do they leverage on you, the other reps?
Sometimes. I've got a tech team over there as well. We've got some smart guys throughout Mapei. So, but people can call and they can go... So I even get full qualified waterproofers who've been waterproofing longer than me that will ring me. So what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily that they don't know.
No.
They just want to hear another... Yeah.
Because sometimes I might have a different way, but if I'm stuck on a job and I think, fuck, this might be something different here, I might ring one of those guys and say, have you ever done something here? What would you do?
I think that's in all industries. I mean, you can even do it if you've written an article and you just need someone to read it, to just go, because you've been looking at the same thing, or in irrigation... We'll have someone that can't work out why a solenoid valve's not turning on, and they just ring it. And they're like, I've tried this, and they're like, oh no, okay, don't worry about it. See ya.
That's
and
right.
It's just going through that process.
It's clicked them over. Yeah. And that's where I've got a good relationship with Waterproof, because they do ring me about that, and I don't care. Like if they weren't using another product, and they want my advice, I'm going to say, hey, what are you using? Nah, I'm not doing that.
I think that's
that, man.
Look,
that's not nice. And I get the fun I get out of that is those interesting phone calls.
Well, your career has been long and safe because of your willingness to help others. There's a couple of guys that helped me out really early days in irrigation when I was working at Newton's. I had no idea. I was 23 or whatever, and they just said, anything you need, call me. Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to be the products we sell, but if you get stuck, call us and we'll help you out. And those guys have got unlimited access to everything that I have now. Like, you want to come in, don't make appointments. You're welcome. And we're very
Exactly.
strict with that for most reps.
Yep.
But because those guys did the right thing,
Yeah.
it comes around. And then all of a
100%
sudden,
it does.
if you badmouth those products,
Yeah.
and then you're going to try and sell them later,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah, exactly right.
Good
that's a difficult point as well. So and that's a lot with me, changing over.
Well, you were badmouthing Mapei.
See, that's probably the worst thing you can ever do, right? Is you've got to give credit to products when they're good, right? Now, when you buy a product, right, you don't just buy the product, right? You're buying the person behind that product too, because you're not going to know everything about that product. So whatever you buy, right, you're going, well, fuck, I better make sure that this is all going to go smooth, right? Because I don't know who I'm calling after this. But if you've got someone on speed dial and you can say, before I waste this product and just start it up and not knowing a few things, I'm going to ring him. I'll get a full rundown on it. And I suppose that's what I've done over the years. And that's how I just did being a rep. I did that as a rep. Wasn't a sales, more help.
Oh, it's funny. I'm kind of like, as you're talking, it's coming to my realization that you do and have done and were doing what you wanted from a rep when you were a waterproofer.
Yeah.
Now that you are a rep that is a waterproofer.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
Like, that's the service you wanted. You wanted someone that you could call. You wanted
100%.
someone that you could rely on. You wanted someone that was going to back their product.
Man,
So now you're that guy.
I had a guy, right, ring me up. This is when I was at the other company. Rang me up. He was a Tyler. He rang me up, and I could hear the quiver in the guy's voice. He goes, Alex, I've got no one to call. He goes, I need to speak to someone. Can you help me out with this? And I said, what's wrong, man? He goes, I did this bathroom reno. I did all the waterproofing. I've got these leaks coming through the niche. He goes, I don't know what to do because they don't want me back there getting angry at me. They're going to fucking sue me. They're going to do this. And I said, listen, bro. I said, relax. I said, no one's suing no one. Have you put your hand up and said, I'm going to come back and fix this? Let me dissect it? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, no one's suing anyone because you're going back to fix it. And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, why don't they want you back? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, they're going to try and get your insurance involved to get a free bathroom out of this because they've noticed some other problems or that nothing to do with you. And they want you to pay for it. And he goes, far out. He goes, you're right. But at the start of that conversation, this guy was probably at the point of crying, because he didn't know who to go to. And that I've been in these positions.
Well, I think also, from what it sounds like, there's a lot of waterproofers that are on their own.
Yeah.
So they could probably get caught up sitting in a bathroom on their own, deep in their own thoughts, running through the worst case situations.
100%.
Whereas if you've got a team or business partners or more people around you or
Someone
people you
to
can
lean
call,
on.
you're like, hey, and you're like, nah, man,
Exactly.
that's unreasonable behaviour. They're not. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
And you can team up with them and say, hold on, man, let's catch up. Talk me through the whole process, and we'll see where this ends up. Like don't do your head in and lose sleep over this when you're not doing anything wrong. That's what I get. I get actually satisfaction out of that. Helping.
So who do you go to when you want to ask? I mean, obviously waterproofing, you seem like you got it covered, but
yeah.
Like, have you got a mentor or someone that you go to if you're
No, I'll swing back to waterproofers if there's something that I think, oh shit, I've never done that before. I rarely will get that.
So you've got a couple of guys.
Yeah, I might ring Johnny.
Yep.
Because he was great.
Is he still waterproofing?
Yeah, he's still waterproofing. Right. So yeah, he's just doing massive jobs at the moment.
Still on his own?
He's got another guy that we trained back in the day. Yeah. So yeah, he works with him still. Look, they're slower, but you know what? They're doing big jobs.
There'd be guys that want them. Doesn't matter how slow they are. There'd be guys that want them.
Oh man, back in the day when I was working with Johnny, that guy didn't quote.
Yeah, they just come in and send me the bill when it's done.
Plans are there.
Yep.
Just send me the bill because they're not getting anyone else.
And he was fair.
He was fair. He's not going to go fucking dack you over it. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's just going to give you a fair price, and it's going to be the same price unless we've had price rises. Yeah. Which back then you got price rise every 10 years. And now you get one every fucking 6 months. Yeah. So yeah, it's different days back then as well. But Johnny's just rock solid.
What about business, and sales, with your current role? Have you got someone that you look to that mentored you, or
No, I'm okay now.
Yeah.
I cruise through it. You know, with a company as big as Mapei, there's so many people to go to. You've got so many avenues, right, that you can lean on. It's so good. Just a great company to work for.
Would you have a sense for the market share that Mapei has in South Australia and Australia compared to the rest of the market? Like obviously it's a pretty big.
They do. They do. They always calculate that. Yeah, so that's something they have to do as business. But the growth behind, well, hence us starting another manufacturing plant in Australia, the growth's huge.
That's pretty cool. If people want to go learning, I mean, are you actively doing trainings now? Obviously we've had some events with MLSA. If people, like say I was a landscaper and I wanted to do some training, would you do something just for my business if I had 6 or 8 people? Like, would you
absolutely.
Come out? Yep.
You could ring me if you had a planter box and said, hey, come out here and explain what to do out on site.
Yep.
Easier for me to do that because I'm on site. I'm in my place. It's a comfortable place for me.
I find training is hard when you have to manufacture the training.
Yeah, it is.
Because you've spent twice as long doing it. Yeah. Because you've got to set up a situation, do it, then take down a situation.
And also explain the variables of that situation because that can come in 3 different looks. Yeah. Right? So it's like a retaining wall. Is it precast, block work, brickwork, right? That junction at the bottom, is it stepping out, stepping in, level? Right? Has it got a footing that drops and squares out? There's so many variables and so many ways to detail things. So I love on-site stuff. I find when we do things with landscapers, or I've ever in the past dealt with landscapers, they're pretty good. They're open-minded. They listen. They don't care. The money it's never been an issue where someone's turned around and said, "No, that's too much." Right? They just go, "No, man, whatever's best." That's what I've liked about landscapers. They don't give a shit.
I still think it's probably the landscapers you've dealt with, because I still think there's probably some room in the market for landscapers that aren't even aware of waterproofing, or that are, that it just hasn't come up for them.
Yeah.
I think the guys you've probably dealt with are probably at the peak of their game, and they're like ones that are calling you because I want to be better.
Yeah.
What do we need to be doing to be at the absolute best? What's the best? Okay, how do we go next then?
How do we go in the next one? Yeah, and that's so good. When you get guys like that, in my position, it's awesome to deal with guys like that because you just know that these guys are going to get it done right. You even get some that will send you the photos and go, "Is that okay? Right? The way I've left it, is that's going to satisfy everyone?" And when you're dealing with guys like that, they're hands on. Man, these guys can do it, right? They can do it easy. Some of the landscapers opt to get waterproofers in. Because they just go, I'm not going to carry the warranty on this, right? I'll just get someone else to carry it, which is probably a smart move too.
I think there's 2 sides to that. One of it is probably because there's a lack of skilled landscapers in the market. So anything that you can contract out, you will, because you're better off having your guys like sticking down tiles or building walls than waterproofing if you can get a waterproofer.
That's right.
You kind of have that kind of like risk and staff availability calculation in your head. You're like, you know what? Let's contract that.
That's right. Like, if it's small, we can hit this. You know what I mean? That's easy. But if you've got a retaining wall, a couple 100 square meters, 100 square, whatever, you got your guys doing other things. Don't worry about the retaining wall. Put it back on the waterproofer.
Be interesting to see. I don't know how many of the landscapers are aware, and there's probably a lot, but about the direct stick torch on and the other stuff. There's probably some potential there that they could have contractors come in and do that.
Yeah.
Which gives them potentially a better result.
Yeah.
And then they don't have their guys in there troweling on.
Sitting there trying to get the thicknesses right as well. That's another thing. So where you might have 0.5 over here where you need to be 2 mil over there, 1 mil here.
How do they measure that you have to measure it before it dries?
Well, if it's liquid, you have to go
with those
WFT. Yeah. So wet film thickness. So go in the wet film and see what the shrink back's going to be afterwards. But then you've got different substrates too. So you've got block works are very porous, drinking things in, and different substrates give you different outcomes.
Yeah. So if you needed to be 2.5 mil dry, you might need to trowel on at 3.3 or 3.5 or whatever.
Exactly. Yep. To get the shrink. Yep.
My last question for you.
Yep.
This is one that I ask most of our guests. I try to ask everyone. So imagine I'm a magic genie, and I come to you and say, all right, this is your opportunity to do anything else in the world that you want to do, right? I can give you the skills to do it. I can relocate you and your family. Any job in the world, right? You would just step straight into it, and that'll be your new job.
Yeah.
If there was something, what would the job be? And it could be something like astronaut, Formula 1 driver, basketball player, doctor, whatever. What would it be and why? I'm just interested to know if there was something else that you thought of growing up that you might have been interested in, or even now.
Shit. Fucking maybe. Motorbike, something like Valentino Rossi or something like that.
I can make you be him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
That
genius.
would be awesome. Love motorbike racing. That's, it's just something I'd look at. But
Did you ever race?
track stuff, like track days and stuff like yeah.
Not now.
Nah, it's expensive. Sold my race bike, sold the trailer, sold everything. Still kept a few things there just in case I ever go back, or ever attempted. But now I just got to I'm an old man now.
Well, yeah, I guess if you've damaged as much as you've damaged as well, that can make it a little bit.
Yeah, now I just cruise a Harley around and it's just slow and fucking noisy and, boring.
For the attention.
That's it. It's boring and it's fucking, you know what I mean? But hey, it's got something to do. Throw one of the kids on the back. It's all right.
That's cool.
Yeah, but no, that's a good question. I don't think it would have anything to be a water. Don't get me wrong, I love being in the waterproofing game because that's what I know. Someone rings up and goes, man, I've got something, man, I've got to explain to you. I actually get excited. You're
deep in your 10,000 hours, and it's probably more than 10,000 hours, but you're so comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Because I get what you're saying. I was probably thinking about it this morning actually. Like, what don't I know? Right? What is there that I don't know about business? Like, and there's probably a lot, but like, what's the and the only way you're going to get, I guess, aware of that is by people ringing you and asking you questions. And if you don't know, you're like, oh wow,
how did I know this?
Yeah, this is not something that's come across my radar yet.
But when you get a phone call, right, and someone goes, man, I got this, I got that, I need your advice on this, man. Get excited.
You're like, walk in the park, do this, you'll be fine.
But it feels awesome because they're like, oh fuck, I never thought about that yet. And it's like, man, I've just helped this dude.
You've helped someone.
You like to
and you
help
get paid
people.
to do it. It's pretty cool.
Paid to help. Yeah. And helping someone, believe it or not, man. So if that's the way you're in, as a nature, right, to help someone, it actually feels really good. When someone really needs you and you've just saved the day. And I'll give you another example. We had this job and they had massive issues with the first builder, which he went bankrupt. Huge issues with this cellar, right? So I walked down the cellar. The new builder was in there. The owner of the house, you could see the stress on him. Yeah, it was a big house. It was an expensive area too. It's just like, we just don't know where this smell's coming from. Anyway, I'm cruising around in this cellar, right? And I'm like, there was this window, a latch window that used to be there that they're putting ornaments in, right? And I pulled the latch window out and I was like, fuck, this still opens, right? We're underground here, right? I said, oh, they've pre-made a board back here, and I'm feeling, that's fucking form board, right? And I'm like, this is fucking diesel. They put diesel on the form board so it doesn't stick, right? And the smell's coming through the opening of the niche, right? I said, this got fucking, and the builder goes, oh my God, he goes, fuck, I never would have thought about that. And I said, that's great that we know what it is. How the fuck are you going to stop this? It's impossible.
That's not Alex's problem.
That's right. Were you going to put fucking smelly trees around the whole fucking cellar?
Lawn Hub air fresheners at lawnhub.com.au would probably be a solution.
There we go. But that helped. It was like, fuck. The lady said to me, she goes, we had guys come out here, much older than you, right? Could not work out what this was. And she goes, fucking, you just come through and worked it out. I was like, fucking hell, man.
Age, I think, can sometimes confuse people that when someone says they've got 20 years experience, but they've done the same thing every year for 20 years, they've only got 1 year experience.
That's right. It's nothing new.
You've got a very diverse experience. That's why you pick up on that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. And anyone that really has to go out there and tell people about waterproofing or tell people about that should be experienced in everything in waterproofing, not just liquids, right? Because that's all you know, right? There's got to be options because you've got to give those options out. So yeah, that's what I feel anyway. If
people want to get in touch with you, is your mobile number's pretty out there?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's a new one, but it's out there now.
Obviously you can go through our stores if you want to get to Alex, or we can put you in touch with you. Like if you're a landscaper and you're looking for some support in waterproofing, definitely. Or even if you're a waterproofer or a tiler, or
and if they've got gangs and they say, fuck, we want some independent training, whether it's on site or in house, you could even host it if you wanted to.
Yeah,
if you saw
more than happy to. Look, I enjoy meeting new people and I guess the content side of things. So anytime we get an opportunity to do something new and film it, it's great. So get to meet some new people. So
for helping out the game as well, that's the biggest part of it, making sure people aren't getting sued for nothing. You know what I mean? And losing their businesses, putting their families through shit, right, off of people that feel that they don't want to teach, they just want to sue.
Yeah.
That's what I feel is
Yeah, I get that. Like, our role as suppliers is to support, not hunt.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we should be doing.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
Clint, thank you. Appreciate it.